In my former life as a synthwave podcast host, I came across a track that I still hold to be the very best instrumental synth song I've ever heard. That track is Enclave by Volkor X, and you should be hearing it right now. It is the perfect epitome of a slow build to a crushing climax. That track is on my regular rotation, especially when I'm writing, as it allows my brain to slide into a space that imagines and feels the epic, the huge scale of the stories I attempt to write. But, having said all that, until recently, I had never sat down and listened to a Volkor X record from front to back. Feeling slightly bad about that, seeing as how I love all I've heard from the artist, I decided to sit and spin with the Earthlings' latest record. This Planet Is Ours Now. About a minute or so into the first track, I knew this video was imminent. I'm Royston Charmaine, and this is Exploring the Concept. This record, more so than any other I can remember hearing, captures that feel and scale of being truly epic, whilst managing to convey a simple story through music alone. The title of the record and the titles of the individual tracks are the only nudges needed in order to follow the tale being told. So much so that I personally find it impossible to listen to this record without my imagination wandering over to the space, pun intended, that the music is trying to guide me toward. Much like my video on Vordlo, check the cards thing, I'll be taking you through what my imagination sees, as well as commenting on the songs themselves. As ever, my opinions are my own and are not influenced by anything the artists themselves have stated or intended. And one final thing before we begin. OK Google, play Enclave by Volkor X. Alexa, play Volkor X, Enclave. We begin with the track that inspired the video. Right from this opening refrain I was hooked and knew that this video was inevitable. And then we come to the otherworldly melody, escalating through the gears driven by the pulsing drums and swelling synths, setting the stage for this space opera. Even without the clues from the album and track titles, how could this sound mean anything else? This is the sound of a people uniting in an attempt to fight off foreign invaders from the great beyond. This track is fear, awe, desperation, and hope. The first time I heard this guitar solo drop in, I distinctly remember that I was listening on my new Raycon headphones, sponsor me please, and putting my shoes on, leaning on the stairs. Why so specific? Because this moment hit me so hard that despite being home alone, I let out a whoop, involuntarily. Nothing is better than when art can cause such a visceral reaction in me. This is an almost perfect album opener. It sets the stage, draws the listener in, and punches you in the face with so much epic energy that you can't help but want more. Excellent. A track called Beam, and we begin with the unmistakable sound of a huge weapon charging. Interspersed with choral cries, giving way to a slow, impending doom in drumbeat form. The static lingers around the edges of the sound, the aftermath of cataclysmic attack. The track speaks of despair, the crushing death of the hope kindled in the latter stages of the previous track. This track is a consignment of defeat, the ultimate infallibility of untimely demise. Or is it? There's a defiance here. Whatsoever any of us live, you shall not be handed an easy victory. We will fight to the last, holding the line. This track exemplifies what Volkor X is a master of, the slow build. More so than any artist I have covered on this channel, and maybe than I have heard in my entire life, Volkor is a master of adding layer after layer of sound onto a track, culminating in a truly epic piece of musical fiction. This is my chips and gravy right here. We begin softly this time, understated, almost like we're trying to stay quiet, in hiding. When the volume comes in, it's a lonely cry. There's no swelling chorus, no gathering synths. It's a lone voice crying into a cold night, searching for company and hope, the last of its kind, attempting a rallying cry. With a title like Crimson Clouds, we can only imagine that this song is the aftermath of an unthinkable act of violence. Such blood shed that it evaporated and now tinges the sky itself. Any survivors of such an event would have a hard time finding their sanity, let alone one another. And even if they could, what would they do? Fight back is what? Yeah, here we go. Do you feel that? That's your pulse picking up. And that, my friend, my ally, is our hope of not only survival but victory. Let's show these guys what we're really made of. This is a battle cry, this is a call to arms, this is a stand being emphatically taken. This track feels like a retro arcade. The smell of junk food and adolescent sweat. Okay, that's not the prettiest picture I could have painted, but still, you get it. This is the moment that video games have been prepping us for our entire lives. This is Ernest Cline's wet dream. This is what will become Earth's anthem after the war is won. Now get up there, boys and girls, and let's get this done. This was actually the first track from the record that I heard. It came on in my regular shuffle, and as I was knee deep in my imagination writing my ever ongoing sci-fi novel, I have to admit that I didn't pay it the attention that it deserved. But it is unmistakable that this track is perfect fodder for what I was wanting. Another immaculately executed slow burn. This track builds atmosphere as it cruises through the gears, adding depth to the already rich tapestry of sound that it starts out with. This is now, after several listens, my favourite track on the record. This track is the battle beginning. We've had the war cries, the call to arms, this is the action. The shifting sounds and disorienting motion is that of a fighter pilot battling to save his planet against insurmountable odds in zero G. Friends, foes, debris everywhere, flashes of light, explosions of death and destruction, and yet we must remain laser focused on the task at hand.
I didn't want to come to your world. I lost control of my ship. It was like being pulled toward your planet by an enormous gravitational force.
After a roaring solo, we get the first vocal of the record, a recorded message attempting to claim that any invasion was accidental. A ruse, surely. We have them on the ropes. No time to let up now. Ultimate victory is at hand. We build slowly toward a final battle, ominous, dangerous, entranced. The drums feel like prog metal, out of time and counterbalanced by the steady rhythm of everything around them. Something's off. The panic in those strings, the uncertainty and loss of confidence in the face of the threat. Chaos. This song is the heart of the battle, the ultimate fight for the fate of a people. This is do or die, and the soundtrack to the end of the world. I could go on and on and on about Volkor X's ability to build a song slowly to an incredible crescendo. Well, I suppose I have. But still, this is another world-class example of such a thing. If you can listen to this and feel nothing, I think your adrenal glands must be broken. The end of this track feels epic. The final throes of the final battle. The almost subliminal Hitchcock stings, implying death and horror. This is a masterpiece. This might be my favourite actually, it's too close to call.
At last. This is our planet now. And here, I will realize my dreams.
It would appear that the invaders won. The album name did attempt to tell you as much. This title track and record closer serves as a victory lap for the conquering heroes. What, I portrayed them as the villains up to this point? History is dictated by the victors, people. All hail our new extraterrestrial overlords. I could do without the victory speech, thank you, but the drive of euphoria that follows is as catchy as it is infuriating. To quote a song from my most popular video, the good guys die and the bad guys win. Who cares? This record tells an almost entirely wordless story better than any other I've heard. The titles, both of the album and the individual tracks, act as signposts to tell you what to expect next on the journey. And the music acts as both the pathway and the scenery, fleshing out those bare bones with a story that is at once unmistakable and yet open to interpretation. I enjoyed my time with this record immensely and I hope that you will too. If you enjoyed this video, there are plenty more just like it on my channel. For updates, follow me on Patreon. Update posts are free, but you can throw me a few quid if you fancy. I've been Royston Charmaine, this has been Exploring the Concept, and until next time, peace and love.